Hey there and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug Season 6 review. And today we're going to be talking about the latest episode to drop, Revelator. Pretty out of order at this point, but I suppose that's to be expected of the show at this stage. They just can't help themselves, can they? This episode was actually a bit of a banger, to tell you the truth. I think it was well written, had a lot of cool developments, and sets up some more story threads for a couple of characters. I've seen a fair bit of hate about the ending, but I think it makes a lot of sense. But we can talk about that when we get there. First, we have to make our way through the episode. We start off the episode hanging out in a train station, probably one of the Paris Metro ghost stations, where all our heroes have assembled to learn from Ladybug and Cat Noir the secret of not having to transform back to normal after using their miraculous power. My god, this really just shows the stark difference in Guardian ability from Master Fu to Marinette, doesn't it? She literally had to figure out all of this stuff on her own alongside Cat Noir, but then they were able to teach everybody else, teach all their allies. Meanwhile, Fu gives vague instructions and doesn't even meet up with Ladybug until the end of the first season. What a hack! They then all come up with a team name, with Ladybug suggesting the Miraculous, which sticks, and kind of sucks. And then they all celebrate. So I'm guessing this scene's meant to be set far earlier than the rest of the episode. Honestly, felt a bit tacked on. Didn't feel like it belonged here. Should have been in the first episode, I think. We then get the intro theme and get into the episode properly. We start off watching some hero news, or rather, hero propaganda about how awesome all the heroes are. Not to hate on Alya, but surely it shows a lack of journalistic integrity to report on your own actions and the actions of your allies. Simply because she would have a bias and a conflicted interest from being one of the heroes. It would make it nearly impossible to be objective and to make informed and balanced critiques if there's any to be made. Not only that, but apparently she wants to keep talking about the truth of what they're doing and how awesome they are. She calls this real journalism. I call it a puff piece. Oh, Alya. She and Marinette then have some good banter before we cut to Adrian and Nino, who've just gotten some ice cream from Andre, who's looking quite different to when we last saw him with his old style. I don't know about this. He looks very uncanny and creepy. I mean, we Andre truthers always knew he was creepy simply from his bad personality, but this is it just looks wrong. It doesn't feel like it fits him. The ice cream looks good though. As the two walk over to the girls, Adrian gets a lot of people coming up to him to give him condolences or just being fanboys in general. And he tells Nino he wishes he could be a normal person for a change. He wants to live the quiet life where nobody's staring at him. He should just be thankful that freak who wears his exact clothing all the time isn't around to gawk at him with his shirt off. Also, rest in peace to this delicious ice cream. I know that Marinette cheers them up and another superfan randomly appears to give them free ice cream, but I'm not ashamed to say that I would be in tears if my ice cream went out like that. I still have flashbacks to dropping my strawberry gelato on the pier. Everlasting tears. Then it's over to the Dupain Cheng Bakery, where it looks like they're facing some pretty extreme harassment. The front of their store has been graffitied pretty badly with images that depict Marinette as an evil witch, and they're fielding calls that are also likely talking shit about their daughter. They try to hide it from her as long as they can, but in a moment of extremely competent parenting, they decide that the best thing to do is to watch the videos together with Marinette so they can figure out what's going on and talk about things. Remember that loser stalker guy, Vincent, that thought he was best friends with Jagged Stone and harassed him trying to take pictures together before being akumatized into Pixelator? Well, he's back, baby, and now he's become an online grifter. Influencer, who sheds light on the truth, or so he claims. In reality, this is a grown-ass man who makes hate videos harassing a teenage girl simply because he thinks it'll give him engagement, and thus money and fame and success. Wow. Both the Andres and Bob Roth need to make room because this is a new contender for the most hateable minor character in the show. This dude legitimately sucks. What trash. The video trashes Adrian and Marinette, pretty much saying that Adrian's become a washed loser since his dad died and that Marinette's the reason why. And Marinette and Alya are video calling later that day. They then see another video's dropped, this time calling Marinette futureless and stating she's a gold digger pretty much. Adrian joins the chat and he and Marinette decide the best way to deal with this newfound drama is to talk to the guy to try to get him to understand that their love is real. So they think that this grifter is just innocently getting his facts wrong and they can change his perspective. Alya, she gets it. She knows he's a grifter and there's no chance getting through to one of them. I do get why they want to try to fix things though. Don't forget, Marinette usually has always been able to solve things with the power of kindness and friendship in the past. Whilst Adrian, he's just very socially sheltered. They're in for a rude awakening though. Alya is right. This dude's not going to care. He represents those insidious drama farmers that spew lies that can easily be disproved, but are lapped up by the lowest common denominator again and again. Some people can't be saved. We cut to downstairs where Marinette's eating dinner with her family and telling her parents about her grand strategy of meeting this grown man alone with her boyfriend, both only teenagers, to try to talk it out. Her parents, being decent parents, think this is a pretty shit idea, all things considered. But they get guilted into allowing it when Marinette mentions, well, they always taught her to talk things out. Gotta talk things out with a lawyer. Time for a cease and desist notice. Shit, everything this guy says in his videos feels massively defamatory to me. I'm not sure about the ins and outs of French civil law, to be honest, but surely there's a case here for defamation. He is demonstrably lying to thousands of people on a public website. He's named her openly, and it has damaged her reputation. She's being harassed because of all of this. Pretty sure her parents are loaded considering the popularity of their bakery, so just destroy this man. Ruin him. Tom decides he's going to go to the meeting and bring along his trusty bread peel, just in case. Very based, Tom, very based. Marinette spends all night watching this dude's videos, and one of his other targets is Ladybug and Cat Noir. Oh, dude. What a piece of shit this guy is. They literally saved this dude from being akumatized back in season 1. They saved him from mind control, and here he is talking his shit. Also, the fact that Ladybug knew that Gabe sacrificed himself would surely mean that she was at the final battle and was involved. So he's just clearly full of shit. If only Chloe hadn't gone off the deep end and she was still on the hero team, because if she heard this guy talking his shit about heroes, like her or hate her, she always has had some epic zingers, and her schemes ruin the lives of those who wronged her. They were brutal. This dude deserves it. Get him. So Marinette, her dad, Adrian, and Gorilla all turn up to meet with this guy. Tom grills him, but he talks them in circles and sweet talks them into doing an interview to set the record straight. It seems prolonged exposure to Adrian has left Marinette with a severe case of aggressed smooth brain too. I mean, who could possibly think this was a good idea? The dude just asks softball questions and lets them speak forever. It seems very obvious what he's doing. He's going to chop up the interview and only take segments to make them look bad. Even as a teenager, a naive teenager, I would not have fallen for this, because I have watched Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. If you know, you know. Ah, masterpiece.
All Fred Jones had to say was,
I think Coolsville sucks.
I will admit though, her dynamic with Adrian in this scene, it was very cute. Sometimes it feels very surreal we've gotten to this point in the story. After those long years of stalking and, oh no, she's just a very good friend. Here we are. Don't take it for granted, because writers always do a breakup arc. Although in this show it might not last very long. We'll see. Surprise, surprise, this dude screws him over, cutting the interview into controversial snippets designed to drum up more hate for Marinette. Also, check out this dude's room. Are there actually YouTubers, TikTokers, streamers, whatever, that live in such filth with bowls piled high in their living area? Ugh. I mean, yeah, sometimes dishes are going to pile up in your sink when you get busy, but just leaving them out in the rest of your house? Yuck. I wonder who they were thinking of when writing this character. Maybe just the whole fandom in general, hating on Marinette and loving Adrian, the soft boy, the victim. And now with his latest upload, the pair are getting harassed in public too. Lovely. Seriously, it's time to hire a lawyer. Or they can bring in Alya, which is a good plan B. I do appreciate she takes the time before she goes into her plan to actually give Marinette the tough love she needs about this guy and her terrible idea to get him to expose the truth. Their friendship feels so real for that. Honestly, their dynamic is one of the best written in the show. Alya then decides it's time to destroy this dude's channel by revealing he's full of shit. She suits up and uses Mirage to make herself look different so she can meet up with Vincent. Marinette isn't on board at first because that's not what superhero powers are for, but I actually disagree wholeheartedly. It's not like these powers were made with the express intention of fighting akumatized villains. Remember, the butterfly's meant to be a hero too. What these are made for is the betterment of society. In my eyes, taking down an insidious cyberbully with a large following is in the best interests of the public. Imagine if this was happening to somebody outside of their social circle, to some random with less of a support system and no way to get any recourse. In real life, people take their own lives because of bullshit like this. Being doxxed and lied about online's no joke. Throw this whole man away. Drown him in the river. I actually think I hate this guy, and thus I applaud the writing for this villain. They've moved on a bit from the comic book-esque characters that are over the top. These storylines are feeling more real. They're leaning into things that actually happen to people more regularly and are more in tune with current society. Seriously, does the writing feel different to anybody else? Alya goes to meet this guy, and as it usually goes with these sorts of people, a bit of flattery and suddenly he's spilling all his deepest, darkest secrets. And all the while, Marinette is secretly recording using a Lucky Charm hidden camera. They have the footage of him being completely full of shit and admitting to making up lies in his videos, and they release it. Is this legal, by the way? Are you allowed to secretly record people like that in France? Genuine question. Of course, since his grift has been exposed, people unsubscribe from his channel in droves, and his budding career as an influencer is destroyed. Aww, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Of course, this gets him akumatized, and this is yet another cool sequence with Lila talking to him on his phone. And I gotta say, I really love the way the dialogue's written and how varied it is when Lila talks to the various different villain characters. Here, she plays on his greed and desire to regain his popularity, which gets him akumatized into Revelator, who can reveal and publish everybody's secrets. First target, the guy that runs the cafe, who's revealed to pick his nose and eat it. Woof! And that gets broadcast across Paris. So here, we have a public shaming villain. Not that dangerous as far as villains go, but of course the heroes still have to suit up and go to fight him. This time, we're getting Ladybug, Cat Noir, and Rena Rouge. Rena and Ladybug confront him first, and whilst there's no real danger, as there's not much he can actually do to physically take them down like a usual villain, and it's 3-on-1, the stakes still feel so high, and the battle's really intense. One wrong move, and we could get an identity reveal. I'll be honest, there were so many ways I was expecting this to go down. Part of me was thinking at first that perhaps Alya would learn who Cat Noir is. Obviously not what they went with, but still, I thought that's how it was going to go. Also, the fight choreography, just so good. Leagues ahead of what we used to get. Seriously, rewatch season 1 or 2 fights, and you really appreciate just how far the show's come. Ladybug gets hit, and it's a race for her secret. Cat Noir arrives and whoops some ass and goes to use Cataclysm on the orb, but is told not to, in case he sees what it is. I love the fake out here, because on one hand, you're sitting there thinking, it would have been an identity reveal. But in reality, it would have been both. He would have learned that Marinette's Ladybug, as the memory is from her bedroom, talking to Tiki. But he also would have learned that his dad was Monarch. Oof, talk about just in the nick of time, eh? They all return to the scuffle for Ladybug's memory, with Rena using Mirage to outwit Revelator and grab the memory herself. Probably thinking it would be all good, because it's just her identity, right? Turns out it's not, and Rena learns the truth. Oh, this was so cool. That moment where she turns around and looks so angry, that shot went hard. I made a video a while back talking about how there could be a bit of a schism storyline in the team. This makes me think they might actually pull the trigger on that at some point. We'll see though, we'll see. Rena makes a mirage of herself and Ladybug to distract the villain, which in turn gives her time to sneak away and yell at Ladybug about how it wasn't her place to lie to Adrian, and now that she knows, she has to lie about it too. So even though she's angry at her, furious even, she's not going to break that trust, that friendship. Actually, never mind, she literally tells her in the very next scene, nah, I'm not going to be keeping this one a secret, so you better wipe my memory. Fair enough, it is a pretty big thing to hide, and Adrian is her friend too. Yeah, so Alya really does feel like the voice of reason in this storyline, and it makes me very confident that Marinette's life is going to explode when the truth comes out if this is how her best friend reacts. They really do seem like they're moving towards a lot of emotionally charged storylines in the future, and the big secret storyline, that's hanging over the entire season. I mean, it's even in the title song montage these days. The two return to save Cat Noir and drop in on Revelator. They de-akumatize him, with Ladybug trying to reverse everything that happened, including wiping Rena's mind. But whilst the physical damage is reversed, they don't manage to wipe her memory of the event. Like I said, she doesn't intend to keep the secret, and so it's up to Cat Noir to use his power, Miraculous Cat Noir, for the first time ever, and delete it from her mind, restoring harmony to the team. Hell yeah! We've been waiting years for something like this. It's about damn time that it was revealed that one of the apparent big two Miraculouses could also do some way cooler things than just making something crumble. I thought this was actually a very clever plot twist. I know people are salty that they reverse things, but it's not just a lame tease this time. It actively sets up an obvious future story direction with Alya later on, as we'll talk about in a second. So in this instance, I'm actually not mad. It doesn't feel the same as the ending of, what's that episode called? Ephemeral, or Oblivio, or Cat Blanc. I understand they've used the trope a lot, but this time it works. Lila keeps writing her manifestos in her murder basement, and then it's back to the beach where Marinette's feeling down about everything and confides to Alya that she does have a secret, but she doesn't want Alya to hate her or feel like she's being forced to lie. Alya tells her it's all good, and when she's ready, she'll be ready to listen. This was a very wholesome little scene. Their friendship really is so nice. Then Alya's at home and thinks about what Marinette said and becomes resolved to try to ease Marinette's burdens. So I suspect we're meant to think that Alya's going to go all journalist and investigate Marinette to figure out what's going on and learn the truth. Then we'd assume, based on this episode, that she'd be just as angry as she was here. I suspect though that's meant to be a misdirect, because now they've had that conversation beforehand and she knows there is something, it's just Marinette's not ready to say yet. So that being said, I think she'll be much more reconciliatory when she learns the truth, because she won't view it as lying, simply not telling the truth yet. However, her original reaction when she grabbed that orb, I think is a precursor to the reactions of other characters. Characters like Adrian, who will probably be very angry when the truth of Monarch's identity is revealed, and he realizes that he's been lied to about it. And so here the episode ends. I think it was a really great one. Felt topical and relevant, had some cool story development and set in motion some great character arcs, whilst also hinting at the future. Not too shabby at all. I'm really liking the creative direction of this season. But with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.